Hey guys, what's up? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. Remember to check out some of our sponsors. We got MAXOne, which is an app, streamline organization, communication, workouts all into one platform. Make your life easier as a head coach and get some things all in one place where you can do multiple things like messaging your team, setting up workouts, setting up practice schedules and calendars all in one place. JustPlayFB, which is the digital software I use to diagram plays. It's the only software I use to draw plays. If I'm going to do a webinar, if I'm going to do a speak at a clinic, it's the only software I'm going to use to draw plays. The Difference USA, the ultimate striking machine, working on striking and hand placement. We have one in our weight room right now that our kids have been using. We are looking into getting some more that we're going to put outside. They come with universal attachments where you can set them up outside on the field. It's the easiest way to get reps on striking and hand placement without needing a partner. You don't need a bag holder. You don't need a medicine ball. You don't need a partner to do that. All right, DC1, which is an in-game app, allows you to make critical in-game adjustments based on live in-game data. All right, so you've got an app upstairs with somebody inputting the data that the offense is running. You've already got probably a template of their formations and things that they do and tendencies already built in. Now you start inputting the live data and you get to correspond and see what are they doing compared to what you thought they were doing. What are you doing? What are you calling? What calls did you run against some of the stuff that they ran? What was good against one back? What was good against two back? What was a good blitz in a certain situation, but it was a bad blitz in a different situation, so maybe it's not a bad blitz. You just have to understand the right situation to call it in, or it was good against one formation but not good against another. So it's a way to use live in-game data, all right, to make critical in-game adjustments. GameStrat, which is a sideline replay system we use, in the description box below, I'll have a direct link. If you're interested in GameStrat, you can click on that link, take you straight to the GameStrat site. So if you're looking for highly reliable, highly affordable sideline replay system, and I highly recommend GameStrat. Good customer service, good people, friendly. Give them a shot. All right, and then Dome Hats, which is one of the major sponsors of Play Fast Football, one of the major sponsors of our upcoming clinic. This OP hat right here, swords up on the back. This is a Dome hat that we just got in from them. Local company here in Jacksonville trying to do some more business nationally. They want to be in every sport, every state, every staff. So they make quality hats. They make custom beanies, hats, visors. Give them a shot. The hats are great. They fit great. They look great. They've got a great hat builder online that you can use. All right, so check out Dome Hats. All right, so we're going to continue this week with our daily videos talking about what it's like to be a head coach, a head high school coach. A week for a head high school football coach. What does it look like? What goes on? So today we're going to talk a little bit about Wednesday. All right, so for us on a Wednesday, we have got two practices going on at the same time. We're on the field at 2:15. We've got our JV practicing and our varsity practicing. The way my staff is set up, I have one football staff that coaches both teams. So I don't have a JV staff or 3 or 4 guys that go down and coach JV football for us. It's my same varsity guys. My offensive coaches coach JV offense. My defensive coaches coach JV defense. So we've got to kind of maneuver our practice plan around and move up and down, and coach has got to be following the plan and moving back and forth because we switch sides because we got a camera that's videotaping varsity practice on one side. So there's a lot of things going on Wednesday. There's a lot of movement. One of our subscribers asked me a question about our freshmen. Our freshmen play JV. We do not have a freshman team. We currently dress about 40 players on JV, and that's 9th and 10th graders. So we do not have a freshman team. We only have a JV team. So it's a JV team and a varsity team for us. Our freshmen play JV football with our 10th graders unless any of the 10th graders are up with us on varsity. So we get out on the field today at 2:15. All right, we're going to flex. The entire group's going to flex together. When we broke today, the first thing we did was an offensive team period, all right, where we wanted to go through some of the things that we wanted to do early in the game, some of the calls that we wanted to make early in the game. And a lot of that was based on personnel, based on some injuries that we have, based on some situations that we have with certain positions. We wanted to do things early in the game to get comfortable at certain positions, so we had some things scripted out that we wanted to open with, so we started with an offensive team period. We wanted to work against some movements on defense because we're going to see some blitzes and some line stunts, so we wanted to generate into that first period some blitzes and some line stunts to get our kids to see it. We have 1 or 2 linemen kind of rotating around the positions based on finding some depth and injuries and other things, so we were trying to let them see the movement, get used to it. So we had a team script right away on offense while our JV went down and worked on a blitz period on bags. So our JV did blitz on bags with the skills lining up, whether it's a zone pressure or man pressure. Skills were lining up to the formation. We had 4 bags set up with a ball. Ball moves, everybody hits their gaps where they belong. If we've got any type of crossfires or any type of blitzes where we need to move, stunt, 2-gap, whatever we're doing, we don't 2-gap on JV, so none of our blitzes on JV would have 2-gap, but need to make sure on those bags everybody's in A-gap, B-gap, C-gap. We need to make sure that if we're playing man, we snap the ball and those skills go. We need to make sure 2x2 we're lined up, 3x1, 2-back. Make sure the guys that are playing 2-back are in position to play 2-back. All right, so we're doing JV blitz period on bags. All right, just to make sure that we can get the blitzes in the right tracks and then make sure that our skills can get lined up. All right, then we went to a punt period where we took our varsity punt team and our JV punt team. Our JV punt team rushed against our varsity punt team. And then we flipped it and our JV punt team punted the ball while our varsity punt team rushed them. So we were working on 3 reps each. 3 reps for the varsity team, 3 reps for the JV team doing punt. All right, then we went and we had a water break. Came back from the water break. Varsity went to a defensive read period, option period, where we were working on all the read game stuff that we're going to see out of our 2 main base calls that we're going to make. All right, and the 2 different ways that we have to play it out of those 2 base calls, how it's different, why it's different, how we're going to play certain parts of the read game in those different aspects. So making sure our 2 base calls that we're going to call 60 to 70% of the night, making sure we could play the read game portion of that in those 2 different calls, and then making sure we're trying to coach guys on the front end and the back end, how it's different, who's handling the outside part of the option, who's handling the inside part of the option, looking at some motion a little bit, what adjustments do we have to make to motion in our base coverages. So trying to handle all those things to make sure that we're ready for the read period. JV offense went down and did an offensive team period where they were working against the scout group. Trying to make sure our personnel is right. We had a couple issues this week where we had some kids that may not be able to play in the game Thursday, so you got to improvise and adjust, work through all that stuff, make sure you got the right guys in the right positions, talk about signals and communication and how you're going to call plays, and make sure you can get snaps if you have an issue at center, which we've had on a JV level. We've had 1 or 2 issues where we've had a center that got hurt and we had to use another center, and then the other center that we used missed the practice, so we had to go to another center. So on a Wednesday before a game, you're trying to iron that out. Who's playing, what 11 guys are in, what's your rotation, what are your subs, what kind of signals, what kind of communication, and then the actual plays that you're running. All right, then we went to a water break, and then we did varsity kick return and JV kickoff, all right, lined up and kicked to our varsity kick return. So we set that up and made sure we had everybody blocked up, all the returns that we want to get in. If we have a certain return this week that we're running, take your drops, make sure the front line's lined up, ready to handle onside. Make sure you got guys in the back end ready to handle pooches and sky kicks, and then get your returners ready and set it up to where you are, especially when we're going against JV, we don't go full live a lot. What we'll do is we'll go full speed into your drops, set up on your guy. As soon as you got your guy blocked, that JV player stops just so we can account and say, all right, who's got the 3, who's got the 4, who's got the 5, how are we doing it, what's your angle? All right, so we do it that way, and then we flip. JV kick return lines up against our varsity kickoff team. All right, so it was our JV kick return against our varsity kickoff team, and we go down and we do the same thing. Make sure we get it blocked up right, make sure everybody knows what their angles are, make sure the front line's ready for onside kick, make sure we're ready for pooches and skies, make sure we got the right 11 on the field, because JV is constantly a work in progress at that level. You know, one of the biggest things we're trying to teach JV kids right now is the importance of being at practice every day. A lot of times they come from programs, whether it be junior high or Pop Warner, where sometimes they miss a practice or they say that they're hurt and they don't dress out, and then on game night, because they're one of the best players, they just show up and they play. And we're trying to get our guys out of that mindset to say, look, you need to practice every day. If you're hurt, you need to be at practice with a helmet or a jersey or whatever the trainer will allow you to be at, so that you can be there studying everything with your teammates. You don't take a day off. So we're trying to break, at the young level, we're trying to break a lot of those habits so that when we get to the varsity level, hopefully we can afford to avoid those problems. So it's a teaching process on the JV level, you know, especially on a Wednesday, to be able to get there and say, all right, look, you missed practice on Monday, you're not playing the first half. You missed practice on Tuesday, you're not playing the first half. Make sure we got the right 11 guys in, especially on special teams. All right, water break. Come back from the water break, and we went back to an offensive period. Now we work the tempo period, where we're trying to play as fast as we can, trying to make sure that the 2 new centers that we're rotating in understand the difference in snap counts, when we're going to snap the ball, why we're going to snap the ball, if we freeze or check with me, making sure that they don't snap the ball. And so we're trying to work a tempo period. With the backups, the 2 centers that we're working now, All right, our starting center is currently injured, so we're working 2 backups, so got to get reps in that as a shotgun team. Tempo changes, so we had to go and make sure that they understood, all right, it's a tempo period, we're trying to move fast, we got to snap the ball in a certain cadence, so wanted to make sure that we covered that. And then we were trying to build depth based on our game Friday night. We had a lot of guys cramp up, a couple guys get dinged up. We play a lot of skill players both ways. Our varsity team only dresses about 43, 44 guys, somewhere around there. And a lot of our skill guys are our best DBs and our best wideouts. So we're trying to find depth. We're trying to build depth. We're trying to find backups. So, you know, this was a period today. We're in that tempo period. I was trying to put some backups in and see if they can understand the playbook, see if they can understand the plays enough to give a guy maybe a 3 or 4 snap breather, you know, in the game. So trying to kind of coaching-wise, the whole staff itself, trying to come to a place where we can feel comfortable with some backups and know how to rotate those guys in a game situation. Because last week was the first real live game for coaches in a long time too. Yeah, we had a kickoff classic the week before, but it's not really the same. Yeah, we've been working with our kids all summer, but coaches haven't coached a game since the spring really live either. So that first game for coaches is kind of sometimes a growing and a learning experience. I have new guys on my staff that need to learn what it's like to be on a sideline with me, how energetic I am, how hyped and worked up I get over things, and what my personality is. And so now during the week we're trying to work on some things to get better and say, hey guys, I need to understand that we can develop some backups, and I need to trust you as position coaches to develop those backups, and then at certain points in the game, get kids in and let me know while I'm calling plays. Hey coach, I got him at X, I got him at Y. All right, you may want to stay away from this, you may want to stay away from that. Figure out what those kids can do to give us a breather, and figure out what they can do, all right, to help us get some rest. But if there's plays in the playbook that they just can't handle right now, then as a coach, I got to know when they're in, don't call those plays. All right, so working on things like that in that next period. All right, then we broke from that and we went back to varsity defense. We got back to varsity defense. We were working on base runs and passes, and then we were working on some unbalanced line stuff that we're going to see and the calls that we got to make. We have 2 different personnel groups that we play, so we have a check with one personnel group, and then we have a check with another personnel group when we get unbalanced line stuff. So we wanted to mix that into the practice so the kids can see it live based on a call. So I would make a call knowing that the scout team was coming out and unbalanced. I want to see us get into, based on the personnel, I want to see our kids recognize it and automatically go into the check that we need to play to the unbalanced set. Then I came back the next play and I put my other personnel group on the field, made sure that we could play the check with that personnel group on the field. So we worked on a period with some throws and some screens and then some unbalanced stuff with our defense. All right, then we had another water break. All right, and then we came back. While we were doing that, the JV was doing offense again, and the JV was working on nothing but signals on air, to where they were moving the ball around on air, running some stuff from the right hash to the middle to the left hash. Where's the ball going to be? How fast do we need to get lined up? Everybody get your eyes to the sideline to get a signal. So the JV was working on that while we were on defense. All right, and then we took another water break, came back to one more varsity offensive period, and that offensive period was kind of everything that we can do from a certain formation that we like to use to make sure that we get backups in. We got caught the other night. We were in a formation and we got 1 or 2 injuries and we couldn't use the formation anymore because we didn't properly have players trained as backups, and that's my fault as a coach because, like I said, we play guys both ways. We don't have offense, defense, so our 2s a lot of the times are starters on the other side. So that formation, we didn't do a good job coaching to get backups, so I wanted to use that formation in practice and try and find a way to get more backups in and again, build depth and generate a game plan where our guys could play within that game plan. So that was a period that we wanted to work on, that one set, rotating some guys in, getting the quarterback and the backup quarterback comfortable with what the calls are in that set. All right, and then JV defense went and they worked on their punt block, punt return stuff. All right, so they worked on their punt block, punt return stuff. So they can line up and be ready for, usually on JV we only have one thing that we do so we can line up right, make sure we got the right guys on the field. If we're bringing a returner on and a free safety or somebody else has to come out, working on that whole procedure so tomorrow night in our game we don't look terrible, we don't rush over the center's head, we don't run into the kicker or the punter. So just trying to cover that scenario to give the kids every chance we can to say that we've covered those scenarios. There's always going to be things that pop up in games that you find out that kids don't know the answers to. And you thought maybe as a 9th or 10th grade football player he knew the answer, but he doesn't. So every week something that comes up, we try to cover it in practice to say, hey, you know what? We got to cover that. That kid didn't know that that's a live ball, that's a dead ball. They didn't know the rules. We got to make sure we get that covered. So we took a period with JV to work on punt block, punt return stuff. All right, and then we finished with both teams running field goal stuff. We now have a JV kicker, which we didn't have the first week. So he came out, but he had to go through all his heat illness stuff and 2 days in helmets, 3 days in shoulder pads. So he wasn't ready to play last week. He's ready to play now. So now we're trying to find a snapper, a holder, so that we can kick some extra points. Last week in our game, we had to go for 2. So now we were working on that with the JV, and then on varsity, we're working on some of the different wrinkles that we use with our varsity field goal team, and then working on our field goal protection. And then we ran after practice our conditioning, and then we had FCA every Wednesday. We have a speaker come in, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and he comes in and he speaks to our team every Wednesday. And then our equipment manager had our spirit packs all bagged up, our shorts and shirts that we had to get to kids, all bagged up to get to each kid with their number on it. JV has a gray number, varsity has a black number, so that we don't lose them, get stolen. So we had those all bagged up when the kids got back in to the locker room for them to take. Then I had to take 8 kids into my office to go through a fundraiser deal that they were the 8 best fundraisers that we had. So we had a deal worked out with them that the 8 best fundraisers get certain rewards for being the 8 best fundraisers. That's one of the incentives to help with fundraising. So then I had to do that. All right, so at the end of the day, a lot of stuff going on Wednesday. All right, getting ready for a game tomorrow, all while watching the weather and trying to figure out what we're going to do next week. Monday is Labor Day. We're set to practice at 9 a.m. Monday. Now we've got this tropical storm Dorian moved into a hurricane, set to hit here Monday. Our high school is a shelter during hurricanes. If our high school is a shelter, they will not let anybody else on campus. So now we're trying to, even though we have a JV game tomorrow we haven't played yet, and a varsity game Friday we haven't played yet, we're always trying to work ahead of the system to figure out what we're going to be doing next week and start covering. All right, guys, if we can't get in here on Monday, what's practice going to look like? We've got to be able to communicate to our kids that there isn't going to be practice on Monday because of the hurricane or the storm. May not be school on Tuesday. We have no idea. We got to play it by ear. But those are the types of things as a head coach that you've got to be on top of and you've got to be aware of and constantly thinking about, even though in the moment you're worried about your depth chart, which guys are here, which guys are healthy, what plays can we run, what defenses can we run, what schemes are we good with. Based on a couple guys being hurt, schemes might go out the window and you can only run certain things on offense or defense. JV, making sure you have guys ready for tomorrow's game. Tomorrow's varsity walkthrough, you got to be ready for what we're going to do, what we need to cover in the walkthrough that we had issues with during the week. And then also now you got a hurricane coming in, so you're working on looking at stuff for next week with how that might affect practices. So day by day, every day as a head coach in high school football is crazy. It's a constant improvise and adjust, a lot of moving parts. You control the controllable because a lot of the things are totally beyond your realm of control with what goes on with kids, and whether it be doctor's appointments or whether it be grades or mom pulls them off and we support mom for pulling them off, and something happens at school and a kid gets in trouble and now you got to do something with your, how you're going to discipline them, or you got to play somebody else. Kids get sick and you can't come to practice. Then when kids get sick, other kids on the team get sick. So, being a high school football coach, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things you got to be on top of, and you're trying to be organized, and you're trying to have these, on these videos with me in the past, I've always talked a lot about schemes, play fast, and coverages, and offense, and what we like to do, and those things are all really nice. But as soon as you get into a season and all the moving parts start hitting, a lot of those things go out the window, and you can't do all the things you want to do because you got to put 11 people on the field that can function. So head coach wears a lot of hats. Got to be able to improvise and adjust. You got to be able to change. You got to be flexible. You've got to understand where you're trying to set a precedent for things your young kids need to learn, where you're trying to set a precedent with your varsity kids to say, hey, we can't tolerate things like this. We got to understand, do a better job here. So a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. You need really good assistance on your staff. I'm fortunate enough to have a staff now that's starting to get comfortable with what we're doing and how we're doing it, so they can help me in some other areas. So got to have a good staff. I have a great equipment manager, which is a blessing. So got to have a lot of support to be a head coach, and you got to be willing to improvise, adjust, and adapt to what's going on, because your rigid plan as a head coach to come in and say, hey, hell or high water, this is what we're doing. It's going like this. It's never going to be like that in a high school program. There's too many moving parts, too many things outside of your control. You can try to do it that way if you want to, but I think you're going to have a really hard time, because high school's got a lot of things going on from 7:20 in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and a lot of things that have nothing to do with you that you have to deal with and you have to find a way to overcome those things, but they really have nothing to do with you, and they're not issues that you caused yourself, but you got to handle those issues. So I'm going to do another one tomorrow talking about walkthroughs and JV games and what we do and how we do it, and continue one of these each week to kind of give you a little insight into what it's like as a head coach, head high school coach in the state of Florida, what it's like game week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a Friday game day. So hopefully these help. If you're an aspiring coach or you want to be a head coach, hopefully these things help. If you've got a different way of doing things, by all means, remember to comment in the videos, click that subscribe button, click that like button, comment, make sure you turn on notifications so you know the next time we put a video out. Remember that the first Play Fast Football Clinic is coming up January 24th, 25th, 26th, 2020, St. Augustine, Florida at the Embassy Suites. You can go to www.playfastfbclinic.com to check it out. www.playfastfbclinic.com to check it out. Registration, hotel information if you want to be a vendor. If you have a business that you would like to be a vendor, all right, you can check all that out at that website. All right, good luck to everybody playing this Friday. All right, whether you're going after that first win, that second win, doesn't matter. You're still chasing a win, trying to get better. Even if you don't get a win, you're trying to work to get better every week. Make sure your team is a little bit better each week and playing your best football when it counts in the middle toward the end of the season. All right, remember guys, you won't play well until you play fast. I'll see y'all next time.